Foreign to Blender and Substance Painter Game Asset Creation, Fantasy Lights. I'm Neil, founder of 3D Tutor, and I'll be your guide through the first leg of this journey. And that will be the modeling section in Blender 4.5.1. It's important to use the latest version of Blender that you can. But don't worry, if you can only have something like Blender 3.5, you should be able to follow along quite easily. It's just that the composite that we will be using might not work in earlier versions. If you need to, you can reach out to us, and we do have older versions of the compositor. I think it goes all the way back to 3.5 or maybe for something like that, and we can get that sent over to you. Now, once we complete the model, I'll be handing you over to Luke, our shader and texturing expert, who will lead you through the UV unwrapping and texturing in Substance Painter. Now, if you're interested, Luke does also have another course out called the UV Mapping Bootcamp, specifically for Blender. So if you really want to get to grips with UV mapping, then check that out. Now, this course is made for creators who already know their way around Blender, so we won't be covering the very basics like moving around the viewport, but it'll be approachable for new users and beginners as long as you know the very basics. We'll be using a default Blender startup layout, so your interface should match mine pretty much exactly, making it easier to follow along. Now, we're also using something called Karnak, which will then be showing you things like our mouse clips or our keyboard clicks, which will make it even easier for you to follow along. Now, the first thing before doing anything, we do have a resource pack with this actual course. So if you can download that, it should be available on whichever website you've got it on. And what you'll see in there is we have a human reference, we have our 3DT compositor. That's an amazing compositor, guys. You're going to see the real power of what that can do in this course. We also have our light reference, and we have our chain geometry node. So for different things there. It's quite a small resource pack, and this is mainly focused on creating, as I say, fantasy-like game assets. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to move this to the side, and then I'm going to delete my camera just for now, just so it's not in the way. And I'm also going to come in and delete this little point light. So I'm just pressing left and drag and then deleting that out the way. Now if we go up to the top of here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and we're going to go down to Import. I'm going to bring in an OBJ, and I recommend doing this for all of your builds, guys, all of the builds. Definitely be doing this. Now I want to do is I just want to go and find my course resource pack. So it's on the Neil's Courses underlie course resource pack. And here is our human reference. And once you double click that, you'll see we have a human reference obj. Those of you that have done many of my courses know that we already do this on every single course, and just bring him in like so. Now he is just here so that we can get an idea of scale. You never want to start a build without understanding scale. And the reason is because if you'll send it through to someone who's using Maya, or if you send it through to someone who's even using Substance Painter, they're going to have issues with the scale. If you send it through to Unreal Engine, for instance, you don't want a lamp coming in that's either the size of an ant or, the size of a house or something like that. You really don't want to do that as a general rule in pipelines. So always bring your human OBJ in, and then you'll never have any problems further down the line. Now at the moment you can see that I'm not able to move him around. I like to use my little gizmo. So you can either come over here and click on the Move tool, or press Shift and Space bar and bring in your Move tool like this. You'll also notice that his orientation is right in the center of the world, which we want it in center of him. So let's press right click and set Origin to Geometry. And now we can actually move him over to the side. Alright, all that set up. Now I want to do is just save out our work. So once you've saved it out the first time, obviously you can save it out every other time quite easily. So let's first of all go to File and Save As. So Save As, and what we'll do is we'll save it in Let's save it in Light and Course Reference. I'll just save it in here. So we'll call it Fantasy Lamp Course. Like so, press Enter, and let's actually change that because for some reason that caps lock on. So Fantasy Light Course. There we go. And now when we go, we can just click and file and save every time, just like that. Alright, the next thing I want to do before getting started then is actually come up to the top right hand side here. Let's click the down arrow. And you always want to put on Cavity on. So click the Cavity on. And the reason I do that is it just defines how much you can see. So there are a couple of things we're going to do as we build this out. The first thing is we're going to be bringing in some basic lighting. The second thing is we're going to be bringing in Cavity. So you can see we've put Cavity on. And the third thing is that we'll also be bringing in an ambient occlusion, just a basic material. We do this in our other courses as well. And it's just to give you a real idea and sense of what something's going to look like when you're actually building it or when you've even finished building it. Alright, so let me just show you the difference then before you can see it yourself. If we click this off and you can see, look how more defined it is. If we bring in a cube, you'll see it absolutely makes a difference, and we'll do that shortly. Now the next thing I want to do then is I want to bring in our reference. So if I just open up, where is it? Our reference, which is over here. Let me bring this back over. You can see we have this light reference. If I double click this, this is what we're actually going to be referencing it from. Now, in the beginning, as with any asset you're going to build, I highly recommend downloading something called Pure Reference, so I don't know if you can. If I open up Pure, or just quickly open it so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, this is Pure Reference, and this is where you can just drag and drop any image into here. So I really recommend that you grab a load of images, whatever it is that you're wanting to create, drop them into Pure Reference. It is free, it's not paid or anything like that. It does say $15 charge or something on there. You can set it to 0 and get it for free. It's one of the best things out there for actually using as a reference board. So let's quickly close that down now. Now what you can do is you can actually have this fancy lamp on your other screen if you have one. And if you don't have one, you can actually also bring it into Blender. So if I come in and I press 1 to go into front view, and then all I'm going to do is press Shift A, and what I want to do is come down to image and I'm going to bring in A. You can either bring in a reference or you can bring in the background. Let's for now, because I'm going to delete mine anyway. Bring in a reference and I'll just show you what that one looks like. So light reference, let's bring it in. And there we go. And now you can see wherever I move around here, I can actually bring that in. You can also bring the background, and I think that one there. If I move to the side, you won't be able to see it as clearly. So up to you either. Bring your image in like this and then let's place it somewhere. You can also make it bigger if you want to. But for me for now I'm going to be using it on my other screen. There is another way of doing it, of course, and that's putting it over here. So you can actually bring this up, bring your image in here and use it that way. So we'll quickly do that. So we'll come down to the bottom left-hand side, drag this up like so, and then what we'll do is we'll change that to image editor, I think it is. And then let's open our image and we'll go to light, and there we go. And now we can zoom out and you can have it over here as well. If you don't want that, all you need to do, just drop over to the right-hand side, just above it, click, drag down, and then you can delete that out the way. Alright everyone, so that is set up, and on the next lesson then what we'll be doing is we'll actually be starting our fancy light. Hi everyone, thanks a lot. Bye bye.